What's going on, everybody? BD Anthony here. In this video, I'm going to tell you the movies that I've watched past couple of weeks, and I'm going to tell you what they are, and I'm going to give you my input on these movies, talk a little bit facts about these films as well. Let's get started. And the first movie I watched was Prisoners of Ghostland, which stars Nicolas Cage. And in this movie, Nicolas Cage plays as a ruthless bank robber who is sprung from jail by a wealthy warlord. And it takes place in Japan, by the way. And the warlord asks him to find his adopted granddaughter because she ran away. To him, he thought it was easy, cheesy, but here's the catch. Warlord puts Nicolas Cage's character. They strap Nicolas Cage's character with a device, and that device will self-destruct if Nicolas Cage's character doesn't find his granddaughter in 5 days. And during that, while he's finding the girl, he's also finding his own path of redemption. And the next one I watched was the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And it's about this group of five kids who are going through Texas just to see their grandfather's gravestone because it has been vandalized for some reason. And during their trip there, they become prey of a cannibalistic family, which includes Leatherface himself. And the next one I watched was the Toolbox Murders. And I'm only covering her because her parts of her body because just in case YouTube says something. And this movie's about a deranged handyman who goes on a killing spree in a quiet complex in Los Angeles, killing moral women with his toolbox. And during that time, the handyman, kidnaps one of the tenants, a young 15-year-old girl who thinks it's his daughter for some reason. I don't remember, but I think it's his daughter who died a couple years ago. But also during that time, because of the kidnapping, her brother tries to find out who did the killings and also trying to find her sister as well. So he's taking matters in his own hands. And the next one I watched was Deathdream, and this is about a suburban parents who are grief-stricken by the news that his son was killed in Vietnam. Can't accept the fact that their son is gone. The mother wished that he was alive again. And one night, he unexpectedly comes home. And they thought the messenger was a hoax. But since he came home, he acted weird in front of his friends and family. He does not want to mingle with them. He only goes out at night to only get human blood. Because in reality, they don't know he's actually a killer zombie. And the last one I watched was a Dario Argento film called The Bird with the Crystal Plumage. And this is about an American writer who witnesses a brutal attack on a woman in a local art gallery. Feeling helpless, he decided to start his own investigation to see who did it and why did it happen. Now to my reviews. Honestly, I was open-minded with this movie. I usually don't watch the recent Nicolas Cage movies. I'm not really crazy about Nicolas Cage, but I like his movies for some reason. And this really interests me because I really like the actor who plays as the Warlord, played by the horror genre actor Bill Moseley, who's been in so many horror flicks like The Devil's Rejects, The Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, House of a Thousand Corpses, many more. And I got this for Christmas thanks to my mom. And I almost did buy this one time at Best Buy. Slow but a good movie. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre. What a classic. I thought it was well done film, but I'd like to remake the 2003 remake a little more than this. If I had top 2 best Texas Chainsaw Massacre movies, this and 2003 would be it. And I heard the filming was the most difficult film to do because it was 100 and something degrees in Texas. People were sweating, especially for Gunnar Hansen, who was wearing this heavy costume as Leatherface. Difficult movie to shoot, but it became a cult classic. And the budget was low too. It was a low budget film. Tough movie to make, again. Great movie. And I love the 4K restoration on this movie as well. They did a really good job with this Blu-ray release. And I love the steelbook of this. The Toolbox Murders. Honestly, I knew, as a true horror fan, I knew from the very start I was gonna like it. I loved it the very start of this movie. And I don't know what I heard, despite getting bad reviews, it became a cult classic over the years. And I don't get why people were complaining about this movie. I thought it was a really gruesome film, which I expect in a horror movie. And I watched one interview with one of the stars, Wesley Earp, and he said exactly the same thing as I did not that moment ago, that sometimes crappy films become really good films because of the cult following. People starting a fan base. That's what a cult following is. A group of fans start a fan base about a certain particular film, book that hasn't been really appreciated. But I think over the years, this movie has been really appreciated. And Cameron Mitchell played a hell of a creepy dude, which I've seen him in other stuff. For example, Humbre with Paul Newman. And I also really like the child actress who was Pamela Ferdin. And she acted since she was a toddler. And I gotta say, wow. After reading that, wow. If you guys want to get into horror flicks, this is one of the movies you should watch as well. And another thing Wesley Earp said, that audience are the real critics. And in my mind, I said to myself, I'm not alone. Because that's exactly how I see it. What's the point of having film critics if the audience are the judges? And what am I going to say? And also, Even Stephen King, the horror legend himself, liked this movie. If he had to rent the movies that he wants to watch, this would be it. That's what I heard he said. Great movie. I would recommend it if you guys want to get into horror. Deathdream, I love horror, but what really drove me into watching this movie was the early gore effects work of Tom Savini, who would go on to the Night of the Living Dead movies. And also the actor John Marley. When I think of John Marley, I always think of him as Jack Woltz, the Hollywood film Mongol in The Godfather. The one who finds a severed head of his horse in his bed. Memorable scene. And I think that's all he's going to probably be best known for is in The Godfather. But I see him in other stuff. And he was really good in this movie. But I wish the Blu-ray had better quality of the film. More HD or even 4K. But still a good movie. Very creepy, freaky, but a slow film as well. And The Bird with the Crystal Plumage. This was my first Dario Argento film I've watched. And I was really open-minded. I love horror. And Giallo is Italian horror, thriller, or mystery fiction. That's what Giallo films are. Horror, mostly. I've heard of Dario Argento, but I never watched this movie. And I honestly did really enjoy this. If you guys want to get into Dario Argento, this is the first movie you should watch. And also because this is how he got recognized. This is how he became famous. Well, that's all the movies I watched past couple of weeks. If you guys seen these movies or have these movies, comment below and let me know what you think. Also, subscribe to my channel if you guys like me doing these movies. Have a good day, everybody.